Entitled parent tries to take my dog. My dog freaking loses it. This happened about a week ago, so I'm still a little bit angry. Also, this is on mobile, so sorry if my spelling is crap. Backstory. I live in a gated community near a park. I occasionally go there with friends or to walk my dog. I went there once to film a project for my AP Human Geography class in the 9th grade. There were a couple of people at this park, but they were all near the playground. I was walking my dog. My dog is Maltese, and a little bit of poodle. He is very defensive, which is important later. If anyone tries to grab anyone, even if it's two strangers, he bites and barks. It has happened to me, my grandma, with who I'm pretty sure is his favorite, my dad, 2 sisters, and mum. Anyway, onto the story. Our cast are me, entitled mum, annoying child. It was a normal afternoon, when my mum tells me to walk my dog to the park and do 1 or 2 laps of the park with my dog. My park has a huge open area where people tend to run. I get there and jump over the fence to unlock the door. The doors at my park need a password to unlock, but I didn't know it. Anyways, I'm halfway through my first lap when I see AC and entitled mother sitting on a bench. AC points towards my dog. I want to say that he's around 6 to 7 years old. I waved to him as I knew why he pointed. My dog, obviously. I finish my lap and start doing my second one. I normally do 2 laps because my dog loves walking and it's a pretty big area to go around. When I run into entitled mother and AC. This is where it begins. Annoying child says, "Hello," and I say, "Hi, can I pet your dog? He's very cute." Sure, I don't see why not. So annoying child pets him before whispering to entitled mother. I turn around to head home when entitled mother asks the question. "Can we have your dog?" What? I said, "Can we have your dog?" I genuinely laughed, and when I look up, entitled mother isn't laughing. That's when I realized she was serious. Wait, do you actually want to buy him? Oh no, not buy him, just have him. Annoying child loves dogs, especially small ones. Maltese is a small type of dog breed. I now look down to annoying child, and he is smiling with glee. No, sorry, he's not for sale. Oh, come on, can you just make an exception? No, this is my dog. If you want a dog, go get one from the shelter. I turn around, but she grabs me. But your dog is so cute, just let me have him. For the last time, no, he's my dog. Mom, I want the dog. Hold on, annoying child. Mummy's working on it. You give me that dog right now. At this point, I was done. I'm the type of person that is really chill, but if you piss me off, I will unleash hell on you. No means no, lady. I turn around, and she grabs my arm. My dog notices and runs towards her. I had him on a leash, but we were pretty close together. He jumps on her leg and bites her. Ow! Ow! You do something! Why should I? You tried to take my dog by force. My dog barks and bites, and finally lets go. And when he does, I bolt for the door, quickly climb the fence with my dog in my arms, while trying not to drop him. Once I got over, I sprinted home. While I was running, I can hear yelling coming from the direction of the door. Luckily, I got out of there before she saw which direction I took. The path I take to the park has 2 directions, up ahead and to your left. I always take the left because it's a shortcut. Luckily, didn't run into her the next time I went to the park, but if I do, be ready for another story. Edit 1. My neighborhood park has a few cameras. Like I address in the comments, I tried my best to back up towards the camera to catch it. I'm not sure if I did, but if I was able to, I shouldn't face any legal trouble. Edit 2. I should also mention that my dog bites hard when someone is hitting, dragging, or shoving someone else. She was also wearing jeans, and while he did grab her leg, it didn't really leave a mark, as it was while I was running. Plus, my dog is pretty small, so even his hard bite isn't terrible. And edit 3. My dog is 6 years old, in human years. We got him about a year ago, so he had already lived 5 years of his life, and as they say, you can't teach a dog new tricks. We've been trying to stop a lot of his antics, which is begging for food, barking at dogs, etc. I want to address this to the people saying I was irresponsible for letting this happen. And while I get what you think that, at this point, not only did I really not care what happened to her, but as a still developing 14-year-old, didn't really know what to do, mate. And our next story was posted by user Spice and Chili, titled, Entitled Mother Tries to Bully Me at Splashpad After I Asked Her Kid to Stop Harassing My 2-year-old. So this was a couple of years ago, but I just remembered it and I think it fits here. Before I tell you the story, I have to tell you a bit about myself. I look really young for my age. I'm 30, but you can easily pass for early 20s. I also look very non-threatening and a bit ditzy. In reality, I come from very humble beginnings, and I had a very interesting childhood where fighting, literally for my place, was common. I got myself out of poverty as an adult and cleaned myself up, got a good job, moved to a nice area, etc. Now to the story. So I am at the Splashpad with my kid when this big kid who's about 8 starts splashing my son in the face. Hard. My son tries running away, but the kid follows him, splashing. I look around for the parents, but I don't see anyone taking interest. I stand up, walk over to the kid, and leave enough space between us so I don't hover over him. I firmly and loudly say, there were other kids there screaming by the way, I ask him to leave my son alone. I then walk away and sit down. Before I know it, this old lady, which I'm assuming was the grandma, is standing above me, within reach, telling me I can't talk to her kid that way. I explain everything I wrote above, but she continues to literally tramp me out, and then she puts her finger in my face and starts waving it. At this point, I am still keeping my cool, not shouting back, and asking her to hand out of my face. She's having none of it and keeps at it. Remember how I said I come from humble beginnings? Well, stood up, told her to get out of my face and back off. She is blocking my way at this point, and I can't even see my kid. I finally stand up, step towards her and go, "What the frick are you gonna do? Run up or shut up, because I've had enough of this crap here." She goes and sits back down quietly, and then her husband, who's an elderly man, starts telling me from his seat that I can't talk to her that way. I go, "I will talk to her however the frick she deserves to be talked to if she gets in my face again." I feel bad because this interaction cleared out the entire Splashpad within 30 minutes. You know, part of me feels embarrassed to this day that I allowed this to resurface, but some people lack boundaries. If you're going to act crazy, be prepared for crazy to come back to you. This lady totally sized me up and thought she could bully me. I've never gone and put my fingers in people's faces. Maybe then because of how I grew up, I know getting in people's faces guarantees you an ass kicking. I know it was an arsehole move and I should have known better, but for Pete's sake, real life isn't the internet, mate. You can't go around invading people's spaces and saying whatever you want. Anyway, thought I'd share. I didn't expect this to be read by so many people though. Thanks for everyone's support, and I can't reply to every single person, but we'll upvote. Our next story was posted by user Talon, titled, Your Little Bro is Broken Anyway. So this happened about 2 months ago, and I've been told that it needs to go here, so here goes. One more edit, I'm 24 and male, so that should clear up a few questions. First, disclaimers. I'm a long-time lurker, first post, English first language, I'm on mobile, yada yada, let's get to the story. I'm the firstborn in my family, and I take my role as the oldest son very seriously. And for 8 years, I was physically, mentally, and emotionally abused by my father. It was over 4 years ago, and I'm still getting help for it, but this is not this story. So because of that, I am hyper-defensive of my family, especially my little brother who has autism. Can't really control his emotions to the point of breakdowns, but is a genius with Legos and building toys. This specific incident happened 2 months ago after I took my little brother to the park to play Nerf War. For the record, all of my little brother's toys have his name on them in black Sharpie. There is no way they are not his. So we are playing and another little girl asks to join us. I'm getting a bit tired, so I lend the kid the gun I was using and watch them play. Now, another little disclaimer. Due to an unfortunate birthday that actually turned out rather well in the end, My little brother is semi-well known in the neighborhood. Mostly good, but there are a couple of jerks. Now that all the backstory is done here, here's the good part. It was getting late, and dinner was going to be ready soon, so I was starting to get my little brother settled in for the walk home. Literally just like 40 yards. And I went up to the kid and asked for the Nerf gun back because we were getting ready to head home. I say, hey, can I have the Nerf dart gun back? Me and my little brother are going to head home for dinner. But you gave it to me. It's mine now. Now, I knew exactly where this was going to go, and I wasn't going to have any of it. So, in an effort to expedite the headache, I just took the toy from the kid. I know I'm going to catch flack, but I was tired and didn't want to fight with a kid. Of course, the kid starts screaming, and I just turned to walk away. My little brother had collected the darts, and before I make it 10 steps, I feel a hard grip on my shoulder, and because of what I went through, I whipped around and knocked the guy's hand away. Enter the father. What the frick did you just do to my kid? He was going to take my little brother's Nerf gun. I wasn't going to deal with it, so I took it away. The father then looks behind me to see my cowering little brother, and I see recognition cross his face. And he goes, "How did you know the toy wasn't his?" "Because it has my little brother's name on it, mate." I showed him the name written in Sharpie, and he says, "Well, it is obvious you only wrote that after you took it from my son, so you better give it to me before I get you for child abuse. Besides, it's not like your little brother needs it. He's broken anyway." And I lost it. I saw red. Like I said, I was abused. I am extremely defensive of my family. I told my little brother to go home, gave him the toy gun, and he took off running, knowing his big bro was pissed off. The guy took one step to try and step past me, and I nailed the fricker right in the throat. Of course, he hit the ground choking, as at this point his wife and other kid comes running up, and she says, "What the hell happened?" He was trying to steal from my little brother and called him broken. The nice wife says, "There's got to be more to it than that." She helped up Mr. Slacko Potatoes. He hit the ground pretty hard, and they went off a few steps. We both called the local PD, and the officers to show up were good friends of the family, related to the birthday. And in the end, Mr. Potato was taken to the ER by his wife, and I got off with a $100 ticket for disturbing the peace, instead of an aggravated assault charge. It's been 2 months, and I've not seen Mr. Potato or his family around since then. And thus far, little bro is getting better at controlling himself, and is teaching me a few things. Thank you for sitting through the boring bits. Edit spelling and grammar. Edit to explain how I nailed him. Simply, it was the strongest left hook I've ever thrown, right into his throat. One more edit, as it seems to be a common line of contention. The whole incident from my little brother running to me, flooring the last guy, lasted less than 5 seconds. I don't care who you are, there's no mistaking intent when an adult attempts to push past another adult to go after a kid, even if the attempt was a single step. Edit another. Fake? Bruh. Okay, another edit because people really don't get it. So let me make it clear in all caps. The dad was the first to act in an aggressive manner. The dad grabbed me. The dad insulted my brother. The dad attempted to push past to give chase to my little brother. Those of you saying I'm wrong to swing must have lived a charmed life or be an only child, and I envy you. Unfortunately for me, I went through hell, and I wasn't about to let some 35-year-old looking schmuck go chasing my 11-year-old little brother. It's not a case of, oh, he swung first, he must be some kind of violent criminal. It's a case of, I wasn't about to let a stranger touch my kid brother. So, as a blanket statement, so I don't have to respond to 100 comments on how evil I must be, and how much of a wanton force of aggression I am, go freak yourself. Seriously, just freak off. Your white knight bullcrap is just that. Welcome to the internet. Oh my god, this guy laying it down. And our next story was posted by a user, not_musical, titled, "Just Pay Your Babysitter." So I just got out money from the ATM to pay our babysitter for tonight, and it reminded me of a story back in the archives. Now, I'm one of 5 kids in my family. My sister, the second youngest of the lot of us, would babysit for extra money when she was a teenager. She had good clients that paid on time, and bad clients that were always short on money / forgot to bring the right amount, or conveniently forgot her rate. My sister got smart pretty quick, but those first few babysitting gigs showed her how crappy people can be. So my brothers and I had just been stiffed on payment for picking apples, and we were loudly bitching about it in the barn. No cussing inside the house, by the way. My sister hears us and joins in with her story. Apparently, one family owes her close to $200 in back pay. We assume she's talking about one of the bad families and ask why she'd be working for them if they don't pay up. But no, it's the upstanding members of our community, the Smiths. Changed their name to protect the guilty, obviously. Sister has been watching their hellions in town after school for almost a month, then riding her bike / getting the bus home, and they never seem to have the full amount. But because they're a good family that goes to church, she's been letting it slide and agreeing to more work with them with the promise that next time they will have the full amount. Yeah, that never happens. I didn't know what the sunk cost fallacy was at the time, but that is what was going on here. Well, we're full of righteous indignation having just been shorted ourselves, and we have a car, so we come up with a plan. My sister is scheduled to babysit it for them that upcoming Friday night after school until 10 p.m. This was unusual because they were strictly after school up until now, so we figured that it must have been for something important. Part of the deal was that they would bring my sister home afterwards, but given the track record of shoddy promises, we didn't want to take the chance. My older brother stays at a friend's place so he can get into work in the morning, and my younger brother, sister, and I take the car to school. After school, we drive around to the Smiths, sister jumps out, and we wait at the end of the driveway. She takes in her diary / ledger thing and tells the Smiths that she's sorry, but they're about $200 in arrears, and she can't babysit for them tonight until they've paid in full. They are not happy about it, but she sticks to her guns and walks out of the house. Mrs. Smith follows her outside and tells her that it's too late to back out of their agreement because they have a big night tonight. Mr. Smith is getting some kind of award and they need a babysitter. She can't believe my sister isn't acting like a good Christian by demanding all this money. Now, my brother has slept through more church than any person I know. I have no idea where he came up with this, but he belts out Romans 13:7, which basically is, pay what you owe. Mrs. Smith is doing that goldfish thing where your mouth opens but nothing comes out, and I am peeing myself laughing. My sister is just giving her RBF, and brother is hitting her with more Bible verses about paying up. I remember the render to Caesar one, but I've forgotten the rest, sorry. She goes back inside, and Mr. Smith comes out. He offers my sister some money that they owe, and promises that they will have the rest after his event, that they have to leave for very soon. My sister takes the money, updates the diary / ledger, and says that we will come back when he has the rest of the money, and that due to their track record, she would need tonight's money in advance. Now it's Mr. Smith's turn to do the goldfish thing. We drive off and get some shakes at a place in town and drive back over 30 minutes later. We are met by two frantic Smiths that have the money ready to go. They hand it over, sister turns off her RBF and heads into the house. The Smiths, looking a bit worse for wear, dart off to their car and peel out of the drive like their lives depend on it. The aftermath. The Smiths did try and tell my parents that we were shakedown artists. My parents told them that they couldn't expect slave labor, but if the relationship was now soured, my sister wouldn't work for them anymore, and they could find a new sitter. This was about the time Bookface was starting to get big. Between my sister telling the other sitters about her experience and a Bookface group that named and shamed locals that didn't pay or shorted their sitters, it was a very interesting few years for the Smiths, and some other families in our small town. Our next story was posted by user /TheShadow, titled, Entitled Parent Gets Annoyed Because I Won't Date Her Daughter. So I recently came out as bi. This story takes place about 2019 November, I was going to my Dungeons and Dragons session and grabbed a coffee on the way. I saw my friend and my friend's mother, which is the entitled mother. My friend and I are both 13, and she recently also came out as bi about a year ago. And then entitled mother called me over. "Hey Slash, wanna come sit with us?" Sure. I sat down, and the entitled mother mentioned that they didn't have enough money. I'm 13, but luckily I had enough to pay for their coffees, and then she says this. "Hey, you're bisexual, right?" Yeah? Recently came out. "Okay, so you could date my daughter." "I beg your pardon? You heard me. Bis can date other bis, right?" At this point, her daughter went for a walk from a previous argument they had in the cafe. Well, yes, but they can also date gays and straight. In my case, I can date a gay dude, and I can date a straight female, so on and so forth. "So what's the problem? You can date her." Well, in short, I don't want to. I don't really like her romantically, and she said she even wouldn't be interested in me. So at this point, she started shouting, "Well, I can't deal with my daughter's problems." She legit said that. "So you can." I've known her nearly all my life, and you expect me to just say, "Yeah, I'll date her," even though she knows I'm trying to get with a guy I like? "Doesn't matter, mate. You're going to date her, and that's final." She starts making a scene. At this point, the manager, who was working at the counter, realized what was going on. She looked at the table and walked over. "Excuse me, miss, you need to leave." "No, he needs to leave." She points right at me. The manager says, "Miss, you are harassing the customers and needs to leave." "I want to speak to the manager." "What does my badge say, mate?" Entitled mother goes quiet and walks out. I tipped the manager $1.50, I walked out, and when I saw entitled mother again, I shouted at her saying, "If God made a mistake, it was certainly you." I now visit that coffee shop regularly. Update, the entitled mother has seen this post, and I'll just copy-paste what she said. "How dare you talk about our interaction in the coffee shop? I'll have you know that my beautiful daughter is now seeing a better person than you'll ever be. All the people who did that thing on that website are all idiots and should listen to what I say. If you're reading this post, do not trust this teenager. He's an invalid. The manager of that coffee shop is a sexist piece of crap, and his coffee is bad. It's £10 really that much to complain about? It's only 10 quid, Jesus Christ. God had made me a messiah to convert heretics like you, and even my daughter, you converted her to the devil." And I just replied with, "Okay, boomer." Update 2. So here's what she said a couple of seconds ago. "You converted my child to the devil, and every other satanic LGBTQ plus person out there. They should be purged. I came here to purge people like you, and that Reddit is satanic. You should revert to Jesus and pay for your sins." I read the Bible a bit, and Jesus said to love everyone. Thinking. So I messaged her this. Do you have a messiah complex? Our next story was posted by user CannabisMP, titled, "Let my kids sit here, you're not disabled enough." Okay, so this story might be slightly gross, but for some context, I'm 21, a male, and a student at a London university. This story happened while I was riding the district line to class. I tend to wear this badge on the tube which says, "Please offer me a seat." The company that runs the tube provides these badges for people with disabilities. Now, I can't walk for very long at all. I have an extremely aggressive form of eczema, which particularly affects my feet. Just imagine a bruised shank of ham that someone has attacked with a rake. That's kind of what they look like most of the time. Basically, my immune system attacks itself and leaves my skin covered in scars, which hemorrhage blood and discharge. The bleeding can start at the slightest touch. So it's quiet, I'm on the train, sat in one of the disabled priority seats, which is right next to the door. I am minding my own business when a flood of people get on, and suddenly I'm interrupted when Her Royal Highness Karen, Queen of the Bob Cut, steps on with her little boy, who looked about 5, and says, "Excuse me, can my son sit there?" Look, I'm really sorry, but I can't stand for very long. At this point, I show her my "Please offer me a seat" pin, and she frowns. "There's nothing wrong with you. My kid should sit there. Are you really going to make my little boy stand the whole way?" I say, look, I really do apologize, but I have this skin disease that makes it incredibly painful for me to stand on my feet. No one really looks at us, even though she's causing a scene, since everyone has either headphones on or are on their phone calls. This is the morning commute after all. Karen says to me, "You're just making excuses, stop being such a wanker." I was kind of taken aback that she'd use that language in front of her kid. Her little crap, who I will call entitled kid, is watching me the whole time and starts to bug me too. Let me sit. He takes a full jump into the air and lands straight on my foot. I let out a shriek louder than a jet engine and suddenly have everyone's attention. At this point, my eyes are tearing up, and I'm trying not to cry with how much this little crap just hurt me. "Well, that bloody serves you right for being such a selfish little child," she says to me. I, ticked off, pull my foot onto my leg, remove my shoe and sock to show her what I meant. Once she saw the blood running down my leg and foot, along with the large chunks of missing skin, Karen goes white as a fudging sheet. Given that this is pretty normal for my skin, I can deal with it fine, but my ears are still ringing from where I was just stomped, and I realized I could no longer put the slightest bit of pressure on that foot. Fortunately, a slightly older lady offered her shoulder to me so I could get off the train. Karen was looking pretty stunned, but all of that vanished as I got off onto the platform, and in her mind she won. The last thing I saw was that little crap sitting in my seat as the train sped away, while I waited on the station guard to bring me a first aid kit so I could stop losing blood. This kid is going to grow up to be so frighteningly narcissistic. Edit. Thank you so much for everyone's kind words. It means so much to see so much support from people. Warms my heart. And our second last story for the day was posted by user FlippyIsKing18, titled, "Girlfriend's mum wants me to pay for a $1,000 ticket to visit them for Christmas. She can't, so that means she's worthless." Me and my girlfriend have been together over a year and a half. I'm happy as can be with her, and she tells me constantly about how I feel like her only family. I never understood until this Christmas, when I first heard of her mother. She never mentioned her mother before, but talks about her father a lot, who sadly passed away several years ago. Ever since, her life has been thrown upside down thanks to her mother basically wanting nothing to do with her. She even moved to be in her hometown in South Korea when my girlfriend was only around 16. She has been raised by her auntie ever since, but just before I met her, her aunt, uncle, and cousin had basically abandoned her as well and moved in with her sister, the girlfriend's mother, in South Korea. So I can understand totally why she felt like she's worthless to her only remaining family, after they all basically left her to be alone in America while they go to live their lives in Asia. Around Christmas, she had gotten a call from her mum. They missed her and wanted her to spend the holidays with her. Girlfriend is overjoyed and all, but there's a catch. Entitled mother refused to fly out to America to be with her only daughter and expected her to buy a $1,000 ticket to come to Asia. Girlfriend was all for it, but because she wasn't getting a lot of business, which she's a beautician, she didn't even have half of that. She begged her mum, her aunt, and anybody else in her family to help her get the money for the plane ticket, but nobody would even help her, even a small amount. I wrote her a check. I wanted to give her $500, which would give her what she needed. She cried but gave it back to me, telling me it's nothing that I need to worry about. So she calls her mum to tell her the bad news. The conversation was in Korean, so she had to translate it for me. And she rings and says, "Bring!" "I'm sorry, Mum. I can't come to Christmas." "Why not?" "I tried. I really did, but I just don't have enough money for a plane ticket." "But it's Christmas. We're your family. You didn't even try at all, did you?" "But Mum, Don't excuse yourself. Don't even try to excuse yourself. You're still a lazy tramp." Entitled mother hung up, and girlfriend broke down in tears. She wouldn't get out of her room for hours. All she did was cry in bed, trying to talk to her mum. Eventually, the crying stopped, and she let me in the room. She wouldn't say anything, she just showed me a picture on her phone. It was a text from her mum. I had to ask what it says, and she says, in a heartbroken tone, It says that I'm not her daughter anymore. My blood boiled. I couldn't even say anything. She was basically disowned by her own mother, just because she couldn't go to Asia on her own budget. I don't really know what I'm supposed to do for her. This happened a few days ago around Christmas Eve, and she's still upset about it. Her mum, her aunt, nobody else in her family will text her back, and nothing I do will cheer her up. I've taken her out to several places. She claims she has fun, but I can still see she's really sad and even lost without her mum. So it's time I be her man and text her mum. I grab my phone, get her mum's contact info from her phone, and use an English to Korean translator. I wrote out basically how I felt about this woman that I've never met, and it went something like this. You really don't know what you've done to your own daughter. You don't have any idea how much you have hurt her. If you really wanted to see her for the holiday, at least you could have done is help her get the money she needed for a ticket, even a small part of it. But no, she's an adult. She has to pay it all. Well, times have really changed since you were her age, and things are not as easy for her as you might think. And you really don't know what you've lost either. She's the best thing that has ever happened to me. If you felt the same way about her, maybe you'll understand just what being a mother even means. Never contact her again, or trust me, you'll meet me in person sooner than you think. Then I blocked her number. She got a text from her cousin saying that entitled mother was absolutely appalled. But do I care? Of course not. And as for girlfriend, she saw what I wrote to her. Let's just say she feels a lot better, even though she still feels heartbroken now that her mum hates her, and me too most likely. Oh well, her loss. Edit. Coming back from work, and I see all the support you were all giving her. It really makes me happy, and it's definitely cheered her up. Thank you, everyone. And she says gamsa, which is thank you. And also, thank you for the medals. I'll sell them and take her out to brunch tomorrow, lol. And our last story was posted by user HowZan2112, titled, Deadpool is a superhero movie and is for kids. First language, Indonesia. Right on this, mobile. Happened 2016. Hotel Trivago. A little backstory. The first Deadpool movie were booming back in 2016. This attracted kids and their parent to watch, and of course some entitled mothers too. Me and the boys went to the nearest cinema to watch it together. It was a very good movie and a bit of adult scene. Fast forward, the movie ends. We went outside. And then we see entitled mother. Lots of them. They are screaming at the worker, "This movie is inappropriate for kid, blah blah blah." The worker tried to explain to entitled mother, this is not a kids rated movie. Not every superhero movie is for kids. Entitled mother didn't understand, and still screaming at the worker. Poor worker, ... Like if you cry every time. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Tell me what you thought about it down in the description down below. I will see you in the next episode because I love you and I love your face. Have a good one. Bye.